And please welcome Mr. Neil Quigley. Good evening. How are we good? As we're in a pub, I thought I'd start off by giving you some advice firstly. Good advice this, don't drink anything luminous. The teenagers and the people in their early 20s nowadays seem to. I think they must have never seen Frankenstein as kids, that's the problem. That is the only way, it turns them into monsters, I've noticed, that stuff they drink. That is the only possible way I can begin to try and explain either Geordie Shore or The Only Way is Essex. Don't know how they do it. I didn't really learn much at school, but one thing that really stuck in my mind was the first thing our drama school teacher said to us in our very first drama class in secondary school. He said this: only boring people get bored. Now we might as well have said, only the intelligent kids can see me, or stood there naked and said, hey, do you like my new suit? However, in the 2 years I did drama at that school, no one ever said they were bored during one of his lessons. Although that may have been because he did look exactly like Hitler. No, he did, honestly. If I could show you a picture right now, I would. Talking of school days, geography. I think most subjects nowadays are kind of out of date, aren't they? Geography, for example, that's something we used to need to know before sat-nav was invented and everyone forgot about the ozone layer. Don't need it now. History, something I had a very little interest in when I was at school, but I paid a lot of attention to it on my home computer. Maths is important as well. Maths nowadays, you need to know that, because if you don't know your maths, you'll get ripped off by the banks and the electric and gas companies. It's important, you've got to know your maths nowadays. You should tell your kids that, that's the reason to learn it. Learn it naturally. Do you ever, in life, and I do this a lot, just say things without thinking, just let the voice go, not think what you're saying? This is a true story. Once, whilst watching TV with a mate, I was watching Friends on TV. I turned to him, midway through an episode, and said, you know, some days I prefer Aniston, and other days I prefer Cox. Yeah, I think he thought I was coming out. And not in a very clever way either. We do have some weird and odd sayings in our language as well, don't we? My favourite, I think, has to be, there is an elephant in the room. There's this huge, great, big, massive thing in the room that everyone's dying to talk about. We want to talk about it, but we're not. And we call it the elephant in the room. One question for you. Why? Because, let me assure you, if there was actually an elephant in this room, it's the first thing I would talk about. I wouldn't be able to help myself. It's probably the only thing I would talk about. At the very least, it would distract my attention. And I have a few questions to ask as well. For starters, how on earth did an elephant get into the room? Who let him in? And if he's sitting there, right, enjoying a pint and some peanuts, let's attack this logically. A couple of more questions to ask people. Firstly, how did he order them? I mean, he hasn't got any hands, he can't talk as far as I'm aware, and more importantly, he hasn't got any money. If there was an elephant in the room, you would be running for your lives. Those things are absolutely huge, aren't they? And, of course, they never forget, elephants. They never forget. They wake up, eat, go for walks, and sleep. If I had nothing to remember every day, I would never forget either. Life is like a box of chocolates. The one your mate has just picked up always looks a lot more appealing than the one you're actually left with. And life as well, it's full of difficult decisions, isn't it? Every day, every second of the day, with all these difficult decisions to try and think about, like to book a 2-week holiday all-inclusive to Spain, or just fill the cart with petrol for another week. What do you do? I love holidays aboard though. Nothing beats a holiday aboard. Get some sun, especially with all this rain about. And you can't beat it as well, because you always treat yourself to a fry-up and a couple of pints at the airport, just like the pilots. And does anyone else find this? Going through airport security is now becoming more and more like performing as a stripper. When I go through the detector bit, I now have to remove my belt and my shoes. All that is missing is some Velcro trousers and some baby oil, and the show is complete. Although now, of course, with the new security scanners they've got, they can see your naked body anyway. They can see through your clothes. Which probably explains why it takes 3 hours to get back into the country via Heathrow, and why all the staff there wear glasses. Bird watching. something old men with binoculars do in the woods. Peeping Tommy. Something old men with binoculars do to give them wood. I once knew a magician who was so obsessed with magic, so obsessed, that he made his wife disappear. I think we had a good summer this year. 2012 was good. With the Jubilee in the Olympics, it was good, wasn't it? It was good fun. I got to go and experience some of the London 2012 Olympics for myself, which was good. Yeah, I went and saw the beach volleyball at Horse Guards Parade. Don't judge me. I didn't apply for those tickets, I'd like to point out. I won them. I won them. That said, I was pretty happy when I found that I'd get to see the women play and parade in 4 below 16 Celsius, or they're allowed to cover up. Now, I've got a tube into London. Now, I might be wrong, but the 6:35 a.m. train on a Sunday morning into London from Amersham would not normally be full. Just because it was Olympics, it was full. Everybody on that train, all going to an Olympic event. It's exciting. We're sharing this great, big, huge experience together, yet still no one spoke to each other or made any eye contact. Following, of course, the unwritten passion code of the underground. I always like taking the tube to being in the sauna. It's hot, and you don't want to look at or talk to anyone. It was a good day out there, very well organised. I was really impressed with the organisation. Good fun day out. Really was. However, it was a bit weird, if I'm honest, watching bikini-clad women play beach volleyball in central London on a Sunday morning, in the pouring rain, with bars on site serving alcohol. It's like the maddest pool party ever. And they had music and a commentator there, trying to gee up the crowd and really get us going. And I guess that beach volleyball is usually played in a continuous party atmosphere. It's like one big, massive party. But what was happening here in London was this. The crowd were clapping, cheering, and going absolutely crazy up to the point when one of the players served. Then we all fell silent, like we were watching the tennis at Wimbledon. In fact, at one point, someone did shout, "Go on, Tim!" Short time, so. It was great. I think we did so well as well. Team GB won so many medals. It was great. It was fantastic. Although it did kind of highlight the divide in our national sports for me, to be honest. All the posh people rowing and on horses, all the commoners throwing things and running. Mind you, they did get extra practice last summer in Tottenham, so we should have been good at that. And it's weird as well. Has anybody, I've never seen this, anybody ever seen someone with a double-barrel name taking part in a contact sport at the Olympics? Haven't seen it. Could never happen, I don't think. I think Prince Philip, by the way, would make a great stand-up comedian. I think sometimes he's the sort of bloke who just says exactly what he wants. He doesn't care who he upsets or who he offends. He just says it. I would have loved to have watched some of the Olympics with Prince Philip sat next to him. Especially, I think, probably the beach volleyball or maybe the gymnastics. That would have been interesting. He's an interesting fella. I think he's got a good sense of humour, sometimes misunderstood. Earlier this year, he joked about unzipping a lady's skirt and got in all the papers. So I tried the same thing last week and got arrested. And I will leave you with this. Doing stand-up comedy is like a night out when you're single. If you don't get any success, and if the night goes really badly, you can still give yourself a nice warm hand when you get home before you go to bed. I've been Neil Quigley. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Good night.